In the summer of 1911, Italy found itself on the cusp of modernity. The Kingdom of Italy, having unified only decades earlier, was pushing forward with industrial expansion, cultural transformation, and national pride. Rome, vibrant, chaotic, and full of ambition, stood as the center of this forward momentum. Among the most ambitious projects of the time was the rapid development of the railway system. The steam trains, once symbols of the elite, were becoming accessible to the upper middle class. Wealthy families now ventured from Rome to Milan, not by horse and carriage, but in plush, velvet-lined compartments. Among the newcomers to this golden era of travel was an obscure private railway company, Zanetti. Zanetti had a bold vision, a luxury sightseeing journey connecting Rome and Milan. It would be an experience, not just a commute. The company invested in ornate carriages, lavish dining service, and professional staff. Their first major journey was scheduled for a bright, warm afternoon in late June. 3 freshly painted carriages stood gleaming at the platform in Rome. The locomotive hissed and exhaled steam, as if restless to begin its maiden voyage. Over 100 passengers gathered, many dressed in their Sunday best. There were merchants in tailored suits, doctors with leather satchels, women in lacy white gloves, a retired naval officer and his wife, even a priest, quiet and solemn, seated in the rear compartment. At precisely 2:15 p.m., the train gave a long whistle and rolled forward. Spectators waved handkerchiefs. Children pointed excitedly. Photographers captured the launch. The train, bathed in the golden light of the Roman sun, chugged confidently out of the station. The journey north began uneventfully. The train stopped briefly in Florence, where passengers admired the Duomo from the windows. Then onward through Bologna, Parma, and Piacenza. Laughter echoed from the dining car. Waiters served espresso, biscotti, and cold meats on fine porcelain. Then, as the sun dipped toward the western hills and long shadows fell across the rails, the train neared Lombardy. That's where things changed. A tunnel appeared ahead, an old passage carved into the base of a mountain. It wasn't listed in the official route documentation. The conductor, initially surprised, assumed it was a newly reopened segment. He gave no order to slow down. The train advanced. But as they approached, a white fog began to seep out of the tunnel's mouth. It curled like smoke across the tracks, dense and chilling. Passengers looked up from their newspapers and card games. Some peered through the windows in awe. Within moments of entering the tunnel, the entire train was swallowed by the fog. Visibility dropped to 0. The electric lamps inside the carriages flickered. The temperature fell noticeably. Conversations turned into murmurs, then silence, then nothing. Outside, at the exit of the tunnel, nothing emerged. Track operators waited. Hours passed. The train never reappeared. Local authorities were alerted. Search parties entered the tunnel, only to find it empty. No wreckage, no oil stains, no footprints. It was as though the train had evaporated. Only silence and stone remained. What made it more chilling was the survival of 2 passengers. Both had leapt from the train moments before it entered the fog. They were found by a local shepherd, injured and in shock. They spoke little, but their words were haunting. There was light, so much light. Not from the tunnel, from something else. There was a pull, a pressure in our ears, like the world folded. Neither could recall more. Both eventually slipped into catatonic silence and were institutionalized in a facility near Genoa. The tunnel was swiftly sealed with concrete. Official statements claimed structural instability and ordered the area off limits. But rumors spread. Years passed. World War I began, then World War II. Bombing raids flattened parts of the region. Whatever remained of the tunnel's entrance was lost under rubble. But the story didn't die. In 1990, a Mexican doctor researching historical patient files stumbled upon a baffling case. In the 1840s, over a century before the incident, 104 patients were admitted to a mental hospital outside Mexico City. They were Italian, well-dressed, confused. They claimed to have arrived by train from Rome. No such train existed in Mexico at the time. The patients spoke a dialect more common to 20th century Italians. They described technologies unfamiliar to the 1840s: pocket watches, steam radiators, printed tickets. Many historians dismissed it as a hoax or clerical error, but others began connecting the dots. If the train hadn't crashed, had it traveled? Whispers of time rifts, portals, and folds in space began to emerge. Could the tunnel have been a temporal anomaly? Had the passengers been thrown backward in time? In the decades since, sightings have continued. In rural Ukraine, a farmer reported a train appearing in the mist near an abandoned station, only to vanish moments later. In Romania, villagers claimed they heard the sound of an old locomotive echoing through empty tunnels. In Russia, a metro employee in Moscow said he saw a train pass by without headlights, windows blackened. No train had been scheduled. Each sighting shared common features: dense fog, sudden appearance, and vanishing without a trace. More than one theory surfaced. Some believed the train was caught in a time loop, endlessly cycling between eras. Others thought it had slipped into a parallel dimension, a shadow realm similar to our, but forever out of reach. Scientists, though skeptical, weighed in. Theoretical physicists reference Einstein-Rosen bridges, wormholes that, in theory, could allow travel through space and time. Could an undiscovered natural phenomenon have mimicked such a portal? No evidence supported this, but believers held on. No registry of the Zanetti company has been found. No photos of the train exist. No blueprints. Only stories, myths, hushed conversations. And yet, the tale persists. Online forums, YouTube channels, Reddit threads, all buzzing with theories. Some say the train still rides, somewhere beyond perception, through lands unseen. Its whistle echoes in the night, a ghostly reminder. Perhaps one day it will return, maybe not. But if you ever stand near old rails on a foggy evening and you hear the distant rumble of wheels, pause and listen, because the Zanetti train may be passing by once more.